When I was a little boy, I was out hoeing in the garden one August, and it was hot, and I didn't want to hoe. And I got down to the end of the road there, and I looked over there in the Johnson grass, and there's a great big old copperhead water rattler, buried up there with a big old, had a mouth as big as a teacup, them white fangs there just dripping that deadly venom. Well, he drawed back to strike at me, and I drawed back with my hoe, and I swung at him, but I hit the garden gate and knocked the head off the hoe hound. Well, about that time, he latched onto that hoe hound. We tugged, and I tugged, and he tugged, and I tugged, and we went down through that garden. We just tore up 3 rows of corn, the tomatoes, 3 rows of butter bean, and by the time we got over there to the gate, I gave it to him because I was through. So I went into the house. I told Daddy, there's a big old copperhead cottonmouth rattlesnake down there, and he's tried to bite me. I swung at him and knocked the head off the whole handle. I ain't going back in that garden no more. Dad said, I know what you're up to. He said, son, you make the wildest tail just so you can go fishing. He said, come on, I got another hoe head, and we'll go down there and put it on that hoe handle, and you can get right back to work. So he did, and we got back down there, and that hoe handle had swole up. It was about that big around now, and it even got longer. He said, I don't know what to do with this. It won't fit this head. He said, go get the hatchet, we'll just chop it up for kindling wood. So I went to the shed and got the hatchet. He waved me back, said, no, go get the saw, but it's got bigger now. It's as big as a paint bucket. And so I went and got the saw, and he waved me back again. So, no, get the crosscut saw. He said, got too big. And I started back with the crosscut saw, and he said, no, go hitch him up and balled and blew the mule to the wagon, and we'll haul it off down there to the sawmill and get it sawed up for lumber. I mean, by then, it's about as big as a wash tub. So we rolled it up on the wagon there, and we headed off toward the sawmill, just as hard as we could go, and that thing kept growing and growing and growing, and it knocking the side planks out of the wagon. But we finally got down there to the sawmill and unloaded it, and about a week later, we went back to get it. It made a stack of lumber. I mean, there wasn't a knot in it nowhere. I mean, just straight grain. It was perfect lumber. And so we hauled it up back to the house and stacked it out back. And we sitting there trying to figure out what to do with that lumber. And Mama come up with an idea. She said, our old chicken house back there is a disgrace. I hate people just drive by here and see it. Said, why don't y'all make us a new chicken house? So that Monday morning we got up and we went to work. We hammered and nailed on that thing all week long. And by the next Saturday we got her done. And Daddy said, why don't you go down to the store and get some paint? And he said, you can pick out the color since you're the one that started all this. So I went off down to the store, and he said, get a gallon of paint, and you also get a gallon of turpentine to thin it with. So I did. And went off down there, and I picked out some striped paint, some red and white striped paint. And brought it back up there. We started painting on it, and we painted it, and it was a sight to see. I mean, next week, the postman told everybody what we done. And people come by there to look at and brag on that house, and we sitting back out there one afternoon just admiring our work there. And we put the chickens up already in there, had little roofs up there on the top, just banded roofs and little boxes there for each hen to lay her eggs in. And I mean, it was an outstanding chicken house. But we're sitting there watching it, looking at it, and all of a sudden the ground started shaking. He said, what? And it kept shaking. And then that chicken house started shaking. And it started shrinking. And them chickens started flying out of there. And I mean, and it kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Then it wasn't no bigger than this. And Pop said, my Lord. He said, what has happened here? He said, I know what it was. It was that turpentine. It cured that snake bite. And that wood, that hound turned into a little bitty couldn't even build a birdhouse now, you know. And bad, son.